Everybody, what's going on? Brent here. Good to see you as always, and a little bit different video today. We're not talking about cars, we're talking about Tesla energy products. So we recently got Tesla solar panels and 2 Powerwalls installed here at the house, and we've been getting some questions from some friends and family about how do we like it? Is it worth it? What did it cost? How'd you decide what size system to build? All kinds of different stuff. So I figured I would make this video. So if you're wondering kind of the same questions, hopefully I answer some of those for you. So getting right into it, our system is a 12 kilowatt system, and we've got 2 Tesla Powerwall batteries. Now, I'll show you how to kind of calculate the size of the system you need here in just a little bit, but that should be pretty much a net zero throughout the year system for us, meaning we are going to be able to generate and store the same amount of electricity that we would need to pull from the grid. So some of those days we're going to generate more than we can store, and we're going to push that back into the grid and get credits for that. So later on we can pull from the grid. And our electric company here does have a system where whatever you put into the grid, you can take out of the grid, and they don't charge you for it. So each kilowatt you put in, you get 1 kilowatt out, zero charge, free of charge. So over the course of the year, we should come out about equal to where we don't pay the power company anything at all. Now, total cost of the system was about $43,000. Now, if that seems like a lot, over the life of the system, they say about 25 years is what panels are good for. So you take that, you multiply it out, how much are you going to spend on electricity? And then you factor in power outages. What if there's a bad storm and the grid goes down? With the batteries, with the solar, you're still going to have energy, you're still going to have electricity when other people don't. So there's a little bit of comfort factor that goes into it as well. So let's take a look at the system real quick. I'll run you through, kind of show you what it looks like. Tesla did a great job installing everything. It's super clean. Everything looks really nice. Let me flip the camera around for you here, and I will show you what the system looks like. Okay, so here's the system, and these are the 2 Powerwalls that you can see installed inside the garage here. The bottom 2, those are the batteries. The top 2, those are the inverters. So the inverters take the energy that comes from the solar panels, either turns it into AC power so that the house can use it, or it just dumps it right into the batteries. And you can see the metal piping, the metal conduit that they installed. It's all super clean, nice straight runs. Everything looks good. It comes over here to the other side of the door, and then behind the ladders there, it goes to the outside of the house. But yeah, very nice, very clean. I wanted them to be inside the garage. I didn't want them on the outside of the house, but super low profile. They don't stick out very far at all. They don't take up very much space. So we'll walk around and I'll show you the outside of the house here, what the install looks like on the side of the house. Again, super clean install the way they did it here. Hopefully I'm not shaking too much, but this box right here, that was on the house already. Everything else, except for that little guy, everything else came from Tesla. So the meter on the left over here, that's a net meter that tells the electric company how much we're using and how much we're putting back into the grid. The meter up here in the top middle, that little guy is what kind of is for the app, so you can monitor where everything's going. And then everything else, nice and clean. Everything's in line. I love that. The aesthetic is so nice and clean. Emergency shutoff button, emergency shutoff switch. But yeah, everything else is clean. Side of the house, nothing going up to the roof here on the side of the house, nothing coming down. The only thing that you can see here is where it comes into the garage, right back here behind this bush. If it'll tilt down, that goes inside. And then the conduit runs, whoops, sorry about that. Conduit runs along the side of the house here, almost out of sight. You almost don't even notice it. And comes around the corner, and then that's where it goes up. The little T-block there on top of this sunroom. On both sides of that roof, there are panels. You can kind of see it just a little bit. Right there's the flashing of the solar panel. Super low profile though. And then here it goes all the way up to the top of the roof. And I'll zoom out and see if I can get you a good view of the panels on the roof. So again, super low profile, super clean, barely noticeable, unobtrusive. They don't stick off the roof. They're not gaudy. They're not ugly. And the flashing that they use along the edges, I'll zoom back up here. You can kind of see that that edging that they put, just that nice little touch, kind of cleans it up so much all the way across, and it goes around all 4 sides. So the install is super nice. Even if you have to put it on the front of your house, I don't think that's horrible looking, and I'd be satisfied with that. So that's the install. Again, really good job. Very satisfied, very happy with the way everything looks. So let me turn this around and we'll talk about a few more things. Just a second. Okay, so that's what it looks like on the outside of the house. Like I said, super clean. I really like it. Now, total cost of the system, I did briefly mention, you heard me say about $43,000. That does not take into account any incentives. So the federal tax credit that's offered here in 2022 and 2023 is going to be 26% of the total cost of the system. So I think when we get that all back, it's going to be $33,800, I think, is the total cost of the system. If you do have state tax credits, which North Carolina doesn't have, they do have an incentive though. And what that allows is the increased value of the property does not get charged against you, I guess. So the property taxes don't increase because the value of your home increased because of the solar panels. Now, one of the local electric companies, we don't have them, but they do offer an incentive for you to put solar on your house. I think it's up to $4,000, so there could be another $4,000 that you get back. Check your local power companies, check your local state for any kind of tax incentives. The price could get offset pretty well. And then, of course, like I said, the security of knowing that if the grid goes down, you've got battery power, you're using the sun, you're going green, you're helping save the planet, all that great stuff. But most importantly is you're not paying someone else for your energy. It is your energy, you're generating it, you're paying yourself for that, which I like. I don't like to pay other people money. I like to pay myself. So anyway, let's run inside. We'll hop on the computer. We'll go to the PVWatts website. I'll show you how to build and kind of size your system for your needs. And then we'll go to the Tesla website. We'll take a look at building it on there, the configurator tool, and then we'll go into the Tesla app and show you how to monitor the system. So let's go. Okay, so to kind of figure out the size of the system you need, go to whatever your electric company is. I'm sure you've got an online login, and they've got some way for you to go back, pull up previous statements, or like my company has a smart view where you can set in a date range, and it'll give you an average usage per month, per day, something like that. But you need to know kind of what your average electric use is per day. Once you get that number, come to the PVWatts calculator. It's pvwatts.nrel.gov. It'll bring you to this page. You enter your address, you hit go. It'll pull up the map, and then you can zoom in. It doesn't always get it exactly right. So as you zoom in, I like to go to the satellite view and then move the pin right on top of your house. Yep, that's what I want. We'll scroll back up and we'll go to the system info. Now, this you're going to guess at the very beginning, and then you're going to go back and forth to figure out exactly what size system you need. But let's start with 10 kilowatt system. Module type, you can do standard is fine. I like to be on the conservative side. If the Tesla panels perform better than what these numbers give you, then bonus, right? So array type, you're going to want to change that to your roof mount. System losses, I found with the Tesla system, it's about 10%, and that includes a lot of stuff. So you can see, you can click on the info, all the different categories, if they're dirty, if there's shading from trees, snow, wiring connections, all that good stuff. But with the system I have and what I've seen, about 10% loss is fine. Now our roof is pretty steep here, so I put ours at a 45 degree. Let's put it at 40. I think that's what I chose actually. And then azimuth, we actually do face south, and this is where you're going to want to know where your roof faces. To the south is going to be the best, so whichever side. If it's a little bit off one way or the other, you can use a compass or your phone compass to kind of determine the exact azimuth that it's going to be facing. If you want to go into the advanced parameters, you can play around here. I think the inverter efficiency is a little bit better on the Tesla, but we'll leave it at 96. We'll leave all of these advanced parameters alone for right now. So based on these numbers, you then go to the results. And this will tell you over the year, based on your lat long, your GPS position, where your house is, how much sun the roof is going to get, or the system's going to get, and how much energy it's going to produce, for that month. Now, to figure out what your daily is going to be on average is kind of the best way to do it. Pull up your calculator. We'll do, let me clear this out, sorry. 14,540 divided by 365 days. So a 10 kilowatt system for this location is right at about 40 kilowatts average per day being produced. So if you're using more than that, like I said, our average was about 50. Then you can go in and you can go back to the system info and say, well, what if I do a 12 kilowatt system? Again, you get that number. We'll pull up 17,448 divided by 365. That's about 47.8 on average. So you say, hey, that works for me. If you want to build it a little bit bigger, go back one last time and see what you can get. Now, when you design the system on Tesla, the size is going to be based on the number of panels that you can fit on your roof and what panels they're using. They've got, at the time of recording, I think it was 3 different panels in their inventory. So you might be able to get like a 12.5, or it might have to go up to something a little bit higher, maybe a 13. It's not going to be exactly ones. So play around with it, see what you can get through the configurator tool, and see what works for you, and say at least 12 based on this location, this house. That's going to be good for me. So that's how you kind of size your system. Now, we went with 2 Powerwalls. Again, those are 13.5 kilowatts each. So with the Powerwalls being full, that should last us, from the time the sun goes down to the time the sun comes back up. Again, depending on temperature, how much you run your heating or air throughout the night. Right now, during the hottest parts of the year, the June, July, August, the Powerwalls run down to about 15%, and then they stop discharging, so they save a little bit of juice just in case there is a power outage. But during the spring, fall, and winter months, I expect those to be totally okay. It should power us completely throughout the night, and then when the sun comes back up, it'll start generating electricity to power the house and to refill the Powerwalls. So again, that's how you size your system accordingly. Again, any questions, drop them down below in the comment section. For building the system on the Tesla site, you follow the link in the description. That's the referral code. That'll give you $300 credit, or award is what they call it, whenever you activate your system and actually turn it on. But it'll bring you to this page. You go in, order now, and then it'll ask you for your home address. So we'll put in 7101 Glenwood Avenue. That's the local Tesla dealer here. put in your average electric bill per month and say, hey, $300 per month, and we'll go next. So you can choose between the solar roof if you need a new roof. The solar roof is less than the cost of a brand new roof plus solar panels, but it is more than a new roof, and it's more than just the solar panels. So if your roof is fine, if it's a fairly new roof, you're not going to need to do any work on it. Just go ahead with the solar panels. But if you want a super clean look, the solar roof is also available. So 95% offset, and this is all just based off of your electric bill value, the amount, the cost that you put in. And it'll say 95% energy offset, 1.5 days, 19.2 kilowatts for the solar panels, plus 2 Powerwall batteries. And again, these are all estimates. If you want to edit that, you can come in and you say, you know what, I don't want that much. We looked at it and said a 12 kilowatt system would be fine. This is estimating 60% energy offset. Again, depending on your electric company, how many credits you get for energy you put back into the grid, this may be more. So even though you may pull from the grid using those credits, they don't charge you. So say you want the 12 kilowatt system, and again here they're available in 2.4 kilowatt increments. That looks good to me, so we'll close that out. And then 1 Powerwall battery. If you want 2 Powerwalls, you just switch over here and say, you know what, I want 2 instead. Okay, great. So now we got a 12 kilowatt system with 2 Powerwalls. $33.5 is the cost here. So if you want to hide the incentives, there's the cost, $45 to $60. The incentives are the tax credits and all that other good stuff. So it's just that easy. That's how you build your system. Then you go through your next steps. You can pay cash, due today $250. You can do a loan. Estimated loan payment is $437 a month. So it gives you all the breakdown on all that stuff. So that's how you kind of build the system on the Tesla side. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the Tesla app real quick, just so you can kind of see the monitoring capabilities. One thing I really love about this system is exactly what you can see in the app. So let's switch over to that real quick. All right, so moving into the Tesla app for the monitoring, I'll kind of run through this pretty quick, so if you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. But the first page that you come to is a once over the world look at your system, and you can see that our home is charging. The Powerwalls up in the top left corner says charging. If you're pulling from, it'll say discharging. Up in the top center, you see what the panels are currently producing. Right now, they're producing about 8.3 kilowatts. To the right of that, 2.7 kilowatts is going to power the home, and then down in the lower left, 5.3 kilowatts are going to charge up the Powerwalls, which are currently at about 49% charged up, so they're about halfway full. Down in the lower right corner, the grid, that's the amount of energy that's either being exported to or imported from the grid. So right now, all of the power that the panels are producing either goes to powering the home or charging the Powerwalls. So again, great little once over the world. You can look real quick and see how your home's doing. The energy tab, if you tap on that, takes you into a page, and right now I've got it set to the month in the top right corner. You can select day, week, month, year, lifetime, and change the grid accordingly. And then just to the left of that is a little option to either look at how all the other systems play in with the current selected option, or you can switch it back over to just a single color, single digit kind of piece of information. But I like to see how all the systems are working together. So so far in the month of August, total home usage, total amount of electricity that the house has used, 629-ish kilowatt hours. If you go to the sun, total solar generation for the month, 589 kilowatt hours. The Powerwalls we pulled or used about 242 kilowatts out of the Powerwalls. And then under the grid, the little gray power stanchion there, total net grid use for the month is 73 kilowatt hours. Now, the net grid use, I'll stay here for a second. This is a great feature. You can see how much you've exported to the grid and how much you've pulled in from the grid. So between the excess solar that's been generated and the amount that we've put back in and the amount we pulled out, on the electric bill, when they send it to us, right now, as of right now, we've only used 73 kilowatts. Now, electricity is about 11 cents per kilowatt here right now during the summer. So that's about $7.50 for the bill so far this month. For a third of the way through the month, $7.50 is what we're being charged. If you compare that to how much power the home has actually used, how much electricity we've actually consumed, we've used about 630 kilowatts so far this month. And again, if we had to buy that all from the electric company at 11 cents per kilowatt, that's about $65. So either $65 if you buy it all, or with the panels and the Powerwalls, $7.50. That's some pretty good savings. So to break these graphs down, I'll go back to the home usage, and you can see the tricolor graph in the middle. The yellow, that is how much energy was used from the panels directly, during solar generation that went into the house. The green is how much energy was pulled out of the Powerwalls that had been stored. So typically once the sun goes down, that's the energy that we pull out of the Powerwalls. And then the gray is how much energy we had to pull from the grid. If you go to the solar generation tab, same concept. You can see where that power that you're generating is going. So the blue bar there, that's energy that went to powering the home. The green is the energy that went to charging up the Powerwalls, to save and store for later. And then the gray is the excess solar power that was generated that we exported back into the grid for a credit. Under the Powerwall discharge, the blue lines, again, that's the amount of energy that we pulled out of the Powerwall to power the home. The yellow or orange bars, that is the amount of solar power that was generated that was pushed into the batteries, and charging those up and storing those. Under the grid, we already kind of talked about this, but the blue is energy that we pulled from the grid, pulled from the grid to power the home. And the orange is the excess solar generated power that we exported to the grid. And you can go back and forth between months. If we take a look at July, it was a pretty hot month. It stayed about at least 90 degrees every day and didn't really cool off in the night. We did keep the house at 72 degrees, and during the day 69 degrees at night. And you can see total electricity usage for the month of July was right at 1900 kilowatts. So about $190, maybe $195 if we had purchased all of it from the power company. But because we had the panels and the Powerwalls, the net grid use was only 341 kilowatts. So that's about $35, maybe $36, $37. So quite the savings. Jump back to June where it wasn't quite as hot. Net grid use, 25 kilowatts. So about $3 is what we were charged by the electric company for electricity use, and total usage by the house was almost 1,500 kilowatts, or about $150, maybe $155 if we were to buy it all from the electric company. So you make your decision what you think, if it's worth it. I think it is. If you go to the impact, you can see over the months how much you're self-powered and how much you're pulling from the grid and what your savings are. So far in the month of August, about 73% self-powered, 27% coming from the grid. And so far that's a savings of about $64 this month. If we go back to July, you can see 76% self-powered, 24% came from the grid, total savings about $180. And going back to June, 96% self-powered. So only 4% of the electricity that we used, we got charged for from the electric company. So about $170 there for that month in savings. So pretty good deal. Under the settings, one thing I really like about the Tesla system here with the Powerwalls and the app, so much is configurable. Under Powerwall, if you have you can set this slider here. We've got 15% set for backup in case the grid goes out or there's a power outage. We don't have a lot of power outages here, so I keep that number pretty low, and I use the majority of the Powerwall to self-power the house, so we're not pulling from the grid. If you have a time of use plan where the electricity is more expensive during high demand periods and it's a lot cheaper during low demand, you can select that time-based control at the bottom and basically pull from the power walls. If the sun's down, you can pull from the power walls during the expensive periods of time when electricity is more expensive, and then say, okay, go ahead and pull from the grid when the electricity is a lot cheaper. Our power company doesn't have that yet for solar customers, but they're working on it. So as soon as they get that developed, we'll be switching over to that to help save a little bit more money. Under EV charging, if there is a power outage, the grid goes down for some reason, you can adjust this slider to say, hey, only give 25% of the Powerwall's energy to the car, the rest of it goes to the home. If you don't have an electric vehicle to charge, this really doesn't do much for you. Or if the grid goes down or you're off grid, if it doesn't happen very often, then this also is not really going to be a feature for you. But it's neat that it's there. Under Storm Watch, Tesla kind of keeps an eye on the weather for significant weather events or thunderstorms, stuff like that may cause a power outage. And so if it detects a major storm, it will actually start charging up the power walls. Either, if it's not already charging from the sun, it'll pull it from the grid and it will charge the batteries up just in case the grid goes down, so that you can store that energy and you can still have power while they're working on that, trying to restore power to your neighborhood. So your neighbors look at you like, how do they have power and we don't have power? So a pretty neat little feature there. The utility rate plan, this is where you set the cost of your electricity based on your electric company, and that's what tells you how much your savings are for the day, week, month, etc. Other than that, the other options are just for your local system, so I won't really touch on those. But if you build your system large enough, the last little option here is you can go completely off grid. So if you find out that, hey, I don't want to be connected to the grid at all, I don't want to pay the electric company anything, and you build your system large enough, you can go in, you can tap this button, and you will not pull any electricity from the grid, and you won't export any to the grid either. You can just call the electric company and say, just shut off my electricity, and you can be completely self-powered. Again, we don't use this because you can see 74, 76% self-powered, 96. We would run out of juice because of the size of the system that we selected. But if you wanted to, you could be completely off-grid with this Tesla system. So that's a real quick overview of the monitoring app. I don't want to talk too much more. This video is getting kind of long. So if you have any questions, anything I didn't answer, drop it down below in the comments section and I'll get to it as quickly as I can. Again, if you're interested in going solar, I hope you do. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great system. Make sure you use the referral code that's down in the description box of the video. That'll get you $300 cash back whenever you do activate your system. If I answered your questions, if I helped you out, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. That obviously tells YouTube that people are liking the video, and we can get this information out to some more folks, hopefully answer their questions as well. I am going to be doing a follow-up video on this once we get into the winter time, so we can see how we moved through the summer, into the fall, into the winter. So if you're excited to see that, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified when I drop the video. If you like Tesla related content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll be posting some more videos about the Plaid and going out and racing and who knows, but a lot of stuff to come. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.